Participants. Welcome back to the Game Dev Arena. I'm your host, Joey, aka Big Mutu. We have a demo that I'm going to create to show the pause that I was able to implement in that Metroidvania title that I'm working on. So I just have a little demo that I'm going to create. This title of demo. Go ahead and create that project. Go in, and essentially what we're going to do is we're going to implement that pause method for our game. So I just have a blank project here that I'm going to start with so that way you all can get a sense on the workflow that I'm working with. So we'll close that. We'll have our main collection there. What I am going to do is create another collection, call it loader. And basically here is just going to serve as the navigation tool for our collections. Nothing crazy, just navigating. So create a game object, call it loader, and we're going to create one script. If I can get it, create a script, call it loader, and we'll add that component file for that loader script. And then we're going to add a component, a collection proxy, which is going to be that main collection. Now the reason for this is being able to have multiple collections, like different scenes, like a menu scene, a game over scene, the main world, maybe you have multiple worlds that you want to put over multiple collections. Here you'll be able to put them all in a nice, neat manner and have them presented easy access through this loader collection. So what I am going to do, we are going to go to our project folder here underneath Bootstrap, the main collection. Rather than having our main collection be the first thing that's loaded, it's going to be our loader collection. And our loader collection, through this script here, we will be able to, I'm going to take all of that out, we're going to make it to where the loader is what's loaded first, but will display our main collection to begin with. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to type some things out. Now, by no means did I come up with this myself. I found this online through extensive research. So while I know that it works, I cannot take credit for its creation, but definitely can say that this process will definitely work for you as long as you follow what I'm doing. So we are starting with creating a variable called current proxy that's going to take the current proxy that the game project loads and get it to unload, get it to load. Basically, once we have this function show displayed, it'll load up what we put in there for it. So proxy. And then here with that nil, we're just saying that right now the current proxy has nothing in it. So that way nothing gets posted up or loaded unnecessarily. Async load. Essentially saying that we want things to load at the same time. Now we get our init function self post. Acquire input focus. Acquire input focus. It's always good to put it in there, so that way when if you happen to have any keys that's going to be needed to be pressed, it'll be there. For the purposes of this loader script, there won't be any keys pressed within the loader script, so it won't be that big of a deal. So, but it's always good to leave it there because more time, like 9 times out of 10, you're going to need that line in there. So it's best to always put it in every script that you do on the off chance that you do. So you'll see we're going to be initializing the current proxy variable again. And once again, it's going to be a nil value, so nothing's going to be in it. We're going to post another message that's going to pick up what we're going to be putting down. So the hash takes the loader collection into play. As you can see, a little hash. So it's going to be looking for the loader that we are working with. So that's why you see the little hashtag there. The period is going to be looking at the game object itself. So for like here, it's going to be looking at our loader game object, and hashtags will look for actual component files. So we got that. Posting a message for if the system finds game start, message sent out that it will initialize. Now we're working on the onMessage function. If I could type things correctly, that'd be nice. All right, so onMessage is where everything's going to get transmitted throughout the editor here for the game. Message ID, we're going to get a hash that's going to return game start. And then we will do self current proxy. Sorry, show. So we're getting back up to this local function that we created here. So show will take the self of the, and we did main proxy as the name. So you see that here, you see the little hashtag for the component file. Once again, main underscore proxy, you see the hashtag main underscore proxy. So we got that there. And then we will put an else if with a message ID for a hash that will produce proxy loaded. Then, so self current proxy sender. So that's saying that the sender of the message is what's going to be the current proxy. And then we're just making sure that we're posting that message so that way the system can hear it and work accordingly. So what I'm going to do is we're going to add a game object. We'll just label it label. And we will create a component file and just call it label. So you see label there. It will say main game area. So it's our main game area. Let's see, we'll scale it up by 2. Actually, let's do by 4. Yeah, 4 by 2 looks good. All right, so if everything works correctly, we'll be showing our main proxy, which is our main collection, which has our label of main game area. So we'll go ahead and build out the project. And like I said, if it works correctly, then we'll see main game area in the build window. And I did not do something. I did not end that. No. So always want to make sure that you do end that if statement, because if you don't, you'll get an error that you did not close out that if statement. So we closed it out. Enable access. Enable, there we go. And you see that main game area. So from here, the next thing we want to do is go through and let's see. Whoa. We need to go through and do some inputs because we're going to create a player character. Or actually, we don't need to do that. We just need to go to our main collection. We'll leave the label there. We'll create a new game object and we'll call it square. And then square, we're going to add a sprite. And then there's a bunch of, let's see what that looks like. If anything, default. That'll work. So we'll see that we got a little ball there. We're going to make it bigger. Load the project and see how it looks. Okay. From here, we're going to create another script, and we'll just call it square. Now, for here, essentially what we're going to have done is just have the ball just go up and down in the Y position. So we don't need to hold all this stuff in there, so we will take all of this out. The only thing we will need is our initialize function. So we're going to do game object, animate. It's going to take the game object into account that we're working with. We're going to do with the position Y for it. We'll do a playback. We're going to ping pong it so that way it keeps going up and down, up and down. We'll go up to 100. So ping ponging up to 100, and then we'll be easing back into the position that it originally was at. And as far as the duration goes, we'll just say 1. So we'll save that, go back into our main collection. We actually don't need our loader or script or that. So we'll go to here, we'll add that component file of the square script. Now, once I do hit the project build, we should see the ball go up and down. Let's see if we got it to work. There we go. So now it is working. So the next thing we're going to do is now we want to add the function of pausing. So to do that, what needs to happen is we want, let's see, what do I want to do? Just for the purposes of seeing like an actual message pop up, kind of like in my Metrovania, we'll create a GUI and we'll just call it pause, since that's what we're doing. And when you create a GUI, you have to create a GUI script. And we'll call it pause also. Once you get to the GUI, you got to make sure you have the GUI highlighted, not any of the folders, but the GUI, the main GUI part, so that way you can add the GUI script. So that way any functionality that you put in here will get implemented in the GUI. So the only thing we're going to worry about is creating a label that will pop up when we pause the game. So system font, just plain and simple. We'll create a node that's just going to be text, and all it's going to say is game paused. And then we'll put that in the middle. Make sure you're always filling that font. We're going to put it in the middle of the screen here. So that way we'll see it in the middle of the screen. And then from there, let's see, then we'll put it on the square. So now when we build that project, we're going to see game paused in the middle of the screen there. So you see game paused with the ball. We got our main game area, so the loader script's still working properly. So now we're going to go back in here and we're going to take that out, that out. We're going to take this out and that. And then now we are actually going to use a keypad. So we'll just use space, and we'll call space to pause. So from here. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to, as always, as a default, just making sure that all scripts require input focus on the off chance that you need it. So requiring the input focus. Then we are going to save the variable pause. So we're going to save the variable pause, call it false, saying that it's not going to be there. So that way when the scene originally opens up, which I'll show you. So if we open the scene, because we initialize this pause, well, actually it's still going to be there at the moment. Hold on, let's continue. So we'll have our pause node. Get node. So here we're saving our pause node that we created here. We'll call it, I'll actually call it pause. So pause, we'll have it saved here underneath our pause node variable. And then we'll go here. All right, so now that we got to this point, now we want to go through and create messages for looking up. So we're going to create a message ID hashing looking for pause. So we're going to be looking for a pause message through our scripts. So when we do that, we're going to set the node, which is going to be the pause node. And when pause has been enabled, it's going to be true. And then we will do an else if message ID and hash it, and we'll say it's unpaused. Unpause it, and same thing. So take that, copy, paste it, and once it's unpaused, then it's false. Now, these two lines that I'm about to do is what's going to actually pause the scene and unpause the scene. So we're going to message post, or yeah, so self pause equals not self pause. Then we do message.post. Then we're doing loader. So we're getting loader, and then we are basically getting this. So loader. So you got loader game object, loader collection, loader game object, main proxy. So that's what's going to end up going here. So loader collection, loader game object, main proxy, and then we put in the message of let's see. We go in. So let's change that. I just copy and pasted from another script that I was working with. So loader. Then we do loader main proxy. Then we set the time step for it. Factor is 1. So factor will be 0. So factor 0 means it's going to stop. And then we go post it, go down here, and then factor back to 1 will start the scene once again. So we got that set up, but now we need to set the message here. So now we want to go and we're actually going to use the on input. So we need to go in and message post, acquire input focus, so that way we can get that key input with the spacebar that we have here. So we're going to go in and create that now. So we're going to do if action ID equals, and then we're going to call it pause, because that's what we named it here, pause. So the action pause will take the input of spacebar. So we're looking for pause. Then if action.pressed, then we'll print in the console pause, and then we're going to send that message with the receiver being, so we can close that. So our receiver is going to be our script here. So it'll be this one here. So we'll copy and paste that. So square hashtag pause, which is that GUI, that's going to take the message. So put that there, and then we say that the message ID will be pause. So when we hit the spacebar, the game will pause, and then we're going to do an else if, and I just found this out. So repeated means basically if the key is being held down. So we do action repeated, and the same thing here. So that's square, so we're going as the receiver being our GUI script, and then the message ID that we want to send out will be unpause. So when we press spacebar, we'll be using this message here, this message section for the GUI, which it will populate the game pause, and it will stop the vol from moving up and down. And then once we hold down spacebar to unpause, then we'll get the message ID in our GUI for unpause. So let's go. You'll see that's all that there. We'll save, build the project, and once again, I didn't end things. So do that, and now we should be good. Maybe not. Don't forget to close out your if statements, as that happens to me quite often. All right, so now we hit spacebar, and you can see down here in the console it's paused, ball has stopped. We'll hold the spacebar, and now it's stopped. And just to show that the unpause also worked, I like to use the print command, especially with key presses, to see if things are working properly. You'll see things populate. I kind of use that as a debug without actually using debug. So you can always use print messages to see if things work properly. But we do see that the pause is there. But you can see that's pause, unpause. So let's go back into our GUI script and figure out why. So, you know what I didn't do? So So we added the variable, but I needed to set that same node here first to be false. So that way when the scene initializes, our node will be false, so it won't be activated. And then once we hit pause, it'll be activated. And then once we unpause, it'll be deactivated once again. So now let's go in. So now it's gone. You see the ball moving. Press spacebar, game is paused. Hold spacebar, game is unpaused. So that's how it's done. So we went through, we did our loader collection, so that way we can make it easy for scene navigation, scene transition. And then we implemented that pause. We used that GUI to show how it's shown on with the player. And we implemented getting one key input with that spacebar to pause our game. And then, well, if you press it, it won't unpause, but you hold it, then it will unpause. That's the way that I implemented it, just for the ease of myself and not going crazy complicated. I think it's easier just to press it and then hold it to unpause. But that's how we do that load collection, and that's how we pause a game, and that's how we add a GUI script to our player to see in our game scene. Check back for more. I'll have more things coming down the pipeline, and keep working on my Metrovania game. You'll get updates here and there. Hopefully, we'll have more updates by the end of this week, showing a little bit more scenes and all that. So take a look at the Metrovania. You'll see a link posted for that, and check back for more videos on things to do here in Defold. But with that, it's game over.